If I speak differently, maybe if I try harder, maybe if I become more like what they want, and without realizing it, you began negotiating your identity for acceptance. That is where the weight becomes heavier. Not in the closed door itself, but in the meaning you attached to it. You thought the door was a verdict. You thought it was a final statement about your oath, your readiness, your future. But the door was verdict. You thought it was a final statement about your oath, your readiness, your future. So, but the door was never meant to define you. It was meant to redirect you. God says, I do not measure you by who chooses you. When applause was absent and validation was silent, something far more valuable was forming inside you. Something that cannot be given quickly and cannot be taken away easily. There were rooms you wanted access to, rooms that looked like progress, like elevation, like answers to your prayers. From where you stood, they seemed perfect, aligned with your goals, your timing, your expectations. But I could see what you could not. I could see the pressure hidden beneath the opportunity. I could see the compromises required to stay. I could see the subtle erosion of your peace that would have taken place over time. What looked like advancement would have become entanglement. What looked like taken place over time, what looked like advancement would like become entanglement. Moreover, what looked like success would have quietly drained your strength. So God says, I closed the door. Not loudly, not dramatically, but firmly. And when it closed, you felt it as loss. You felt it as confusion. I was not removing something from you. I was preserving something within you that you could need later. You have underestimated the value of protection because it rarely feels like provision. When I block a path, it does not feel like I am giving you anything. It feels like I am taking something away. But God says, hear me clearly. Protection is one of the highest forms of provision. When God stopped you from stepping into something that would have cost you your peace, your identity, your clarity, that was not absence, that was supply. I was supplying you with preservation. I was supplying you with time. I was supplying you with space to grow without unnecessary weight. You did not celebrate those moments because you did not recognize them. You mourned what you thought you lost instead of honoring what you were spared. But God was there, quietly intercepting paths that would have complicated your future in ways you were not prepared to carry. Nothing you missed was meant to sustain you, and nothing meant for you can never be permanently withheld. You have also carried the weight of comparison, watching others walking through doors that remained closed to you. You saw their progress, their opportunities, their visible movement forward, and something inside you tightened. not out of jealousy alone, but out of confusion. You asked yourself, why them and not me? You tried to celebrate them while silently questioning your own journey. That tension wore on you. It made you feel behind, delayed, overlooked. But what you did not see was the difference in assignment. You were not being prepared for the same thing. You were not being shaped for the same weight. You were not being built for the same outcome. Comparison distorted your vision because it made you measure your path against someone else's purpose. But I do not build identical lives. I build specific ones. And when I am preparing in you requires a depth that cannot be rushed and cannot be copied. You are not late. You are being layered. There were nights when the fear became louder than your faith. When the question was no longer, when will it happen, but will it happen at all? That question carries a different weight. It touches something deeper. It reaches into the place where trust begins to shake. You started preparing yourself for disappointment, lowering your expectations to protect your heart. You told yourself not to hope too much, not to believe too strongly, not to expect too quickly. That felt safer. That felt more manageable, but it also began to limit your openness. You built quiet walls around your expectation, not because you stopped believing in me, but because you were trying to protect yourself from pain. I saw that. I understood that. But I did not design you to live guarded from what I have for you. I designed you to receive it fully, and that requires a heart that is open, not armored. What you call discomfort right now is not discomfort of something falling apart. It is the discomfort of something expanding. There is a stretching happening inside you that you cannot fully explain. It shows up as restlessness. It shows up as pressure. It shows up as movements where nothing seems wrong, yet nothing feels settled. That is not confusion. That is capacity increasing. You are being reshaped to hold what is coming, and expansion always feels uncomfortable before it feels natural. Muscles ache before they strengthen. Space stretches before it stabilizes. You are not breaking. You are becoming able. You are becoming built in. Built in you now is not visible yet. But it is essential, because when what you have been asking for arrives, it will not ask for permission. It will require readiness. And readiness is what this season has been forming in you quietly, steadily, intentionally. So if you are watching this live session till now, please share and subscribe this channel. So always I think that all of my subscribers, they are not subscribers actually. They are my family member. So I cordially request you to share this video to your friends. So I also need you to understand something about your effort, because you have not been lazy, you have not been passive, you have not been sitting still. You tried, you showed up, you moved forward with what you had. And when it did not produce the results you expected, you questioned your direction. You wondered if you understand me, you wondered if you missed something. But effort alone does not determine outcome. Timing does. Alignment does. And I was adjusting both on your behalf. And you were moving with sincerity. But I was guiding with foresight. You saw the step, I saw the path. And when those two did not match, I intervened. Not to frustrate you, but to align you. You were not wrong to try, but you were not meant to settle there. So I redirected you, even when it felt like resistance, because temporary resistance is better than permanent misalignment. Now, listen closely, because this is where clarity begins to settle. Nothing you experience was wasted. Not the effort, not the disappointment, not the waiting, not even the confusion. All of it has been forming something inside you that will make sense in the next season. You are not starting over. You are stepping forward with depth. You are carrying lessons that will protect you from repeating patterns that once drained you. You are walking with discernment that will help you recognize what is truly aligned with you. And when the right door opens, and it will, you will not walk through it with desperation. You will walk through it with awareness. You will not cling to it out of fear of losing it. You will steward it with confidence, because you will recognize it as right, not just available. This is the difference this season has been building in you. And that difference will change everything. Stop calling this delay. Call it what it really is. You have labeled this season as nothing is happening, but this is not truth. That is perception shaped by impatience. I need you to see this clearly now, because what you believe about this moment will determine how you respond to what comes next. The spirit of delay has been whispering to you, telling you that you are behind, that you missed your moment, that others have already taken what was meant for you. And slowly, quietly, you started agreeing with it. You began to move differently, think differently, expect less. You stopped reaching with the same faith. You started preparing or less instead of preparing for more. But Hear me. The voice is a distortion. It is not reality. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are positioned, and positioning often feels like stillness when you do not understand what is aligning around you. But alignment is happening now, faster than you realize. There is a window opening, and it is not wider forever. This is where many miss what I am doing. Not because they are unworthy, but because they are unaware. They mistake preparation for postponement. They mistake stillness for stagnation. They mistake alignment for absence. And when the moment finally arrives, they are not ready to recognize it because they trained themselves to expect nothing. I will not let this happen to you. This is why I am speaking with clarity now. You must shift your posture. Not tomorrow, but now. You cannot enter a season of increase with a mindset trained in survival. You cannot carry abundance with hands that have only learned to hold scarcity. Something in you must adjust before what is coming can rest on you without overwhelming you. This is not about effort. This is about awareness because the window is coming someday. It is beginning to open even now. Thank you so much for joining this live stream. So we will get back to you tomorrow. Thank you so much, all of you who have joined this live stream and like this stream. Thank you so much. So welcome to this live session. So today we will talk about a holy emergency revealing why your foundation to be strengthened before abundance. After that, we will discuss about the emotional mirror, your pain, your rejection, your effort, and unseen protection exposed. Next, we will cover the turning point, warning against misinterpreting your session and missing what's near. And finally, we will discuss about your final decree like abundance, stewardship, and activation, type Amen moment. So, before the gold ever filled the temple of the Old Testament, I tested the hearts that would stand within it. God led Abraham to a mountain before I made him a father of nations. I sent Joseph into a pit before I raised him to a palace. I walked Moses through wilderness fire before I placed authority in his hands. Because I do not release abundance into untested vessels. I refine, I reshape, I reinforce. So when what I promised finally arrives, it does not destroy you, it establishes you. Look at your story again, but look deeper this time. What you called rejection was never empty. It was layered, it was intentional, it was protective in ways you could not yet understand. I saw you when you showed up prepared, when your voice was steady but your heart was trembling beneath the surface. I saw you rehearse what you would say, replying conversations in your mind, hoping this time the answer would be yes. And when it wasn't, when the email never came, when the call was never returned, when the opportunity slipped quietly through your fingers, you did not just feel disappointment, you felt dismissed. You questioned your oath in silence. You wondered if something was missing in you, something others had that you didn't. But I tell you now, nothing was missing, nothing was broken, nothing was overlooked. When your experience was not denial of your value, it was direction of your path. You were not being pushed away from something good. You were being pulled away from something that only looked good from a distance. I watched you carry those moments longer than you should have, replying them, analyzing them, trying to decode what went wrong. You turned inward, searching for flaws, adjusting yourself in ways that slowly began to exhaust you. You thought, maybe if I speak differently, maybe if I try harder, maybe if I become more like what they want, and without realizing it, you began negotiating your identity for acceptance. That is where the weight became heavier. Not in the closed door itself, but in the meaning you attached to it. You thought the door was a verdict. You thought it was a final statement about your oath, your readiness, your future. But the door was verdict. You thought it was a final statement about your oath, your readiness, your future. But the door was never meant to define you. It was meant to redirect you. God says, I do not measure you by who chooses you. When applause was absent and validation was silent, something far more